Antman and the Wasp Quantumania is Marvel's second project to receive a rotten review from critics. How these managed to get away, I will never know. And I gotta tell ya, I personally wasn't annoyed with how bad this movie was, how awful the jokes were, how the comedy undercut the stakes and seriousness of the situations, how they turned the villain MODOK into a joke, how the green screen is so bad despite the MCU having so many movies you'd think they'd at least be able to get a green screen right by now. But no, and the reason I wasn't annoyed or surprised is because this isn't new. The MCU have always been doing this, and I was sick of it a long time ago, and at long last, it seems that a growing number of others are finally getting sick of it now too, and starting to see the flaws that I have been seeing for so many years, that maybe making jokes during a serious and intense scene is not a good idea. So I thought this movie was bad, and what kills it is the generic MCU formula, and this is going to spell the end for Marvel if they keep doing this. What seems to be universally agreed upon, however, is that the one redeeming quality of the movie is Kang. And at face value, yes, he was. Jonathan Major did a great job with his performance, and his scenes were the best part of the movie. But the more I thought about it, not only did I conclude that Kang was an unworthy successor to Thanos, but he is actually a terrible villain. And we're going to go through all the reasons as to why. Number 5. His motivation was underdeveloped and didn't make sense. Kang is trying to clean up the mess that his other variants have made when they mess with the timeline. He essentially thinks that conquering the multiverse and destroying all life on it will save it from his variants. And I'm just here thinking, this is not a particularly noble thing. Janet even says that he's really just doing it for revenge, and it's told in a very quick and expository way that just came across very sloppy. His motivation definitely has ingredients of greatness, but it feels incomplete and not thought out with the same level of detail that the Russo brothers had put into Thanos in Infinity War. With Thanos, you see a character that has good intentions but goes about his mission in a horrific way. With Kang, I just see an evil psychopath, and I don't see the sympathetic or even noble side to what he is doing. He's just committing mass murder because he's a raging lunatic. A lunatic that the movie is posing as someone who is complex, when really, he is not. Kang's flaws are so big and numerous that everything ends up going against him to the point that he ends up feeling like a generic MCU villain. The only thing that prevents him from completely falling into that category is Jonathan Major's performance. But from a writing point of view, he is no better than the most disposable of MCU villains. And on the page, he is not even in the same league as Thanos. Number 4. The violence for Kang is massively pulled back. The effects for when he vaporized people was so clean, cheap, and PG friendly. I mean, War of the Worlds from 2005 had much better vaporizing effects. Even Transformers 3 had much better vaporizing effects when the Decepticons fired on people, and these were worthy of the PG-13 rating. Kang's is honestly the worst vaporizing effect I have ever seen, so much so that even calling it vaporizing is giving it way too much credit. His victims just disappear on contact with his laser beam. This movie constantly pulls back on the violence that it feels like it's a PG movie, and I can sort of understand Disney Marvel's mentality for wanting to do that with their heroes, but you should not do that with your villains, especially a villain that is supposed to be the next Thanos, and especially when you take into account that Thanos went around killing and torturing people like this. This shows that even by Marvel standards, they could have and already have gone more violent with their main villain in the past, but they massively reduced the violence with Kang for some reason, and the ludicrously pulled back violence is one of the things that really took away from Kang's intimidating presence and fear factor. Number 3. Why is Kang even here? Why does this jokey movie have such a serious villain? That's like introducing Thanos in Ant-Man 2 or Darkseid in Shazam. He should have been saved for a different movie, preferably one that had dignity, higher stakes, and a tone that is worthy of its villain. But Kang felt so out of place in this movie, and I just questioned what he was even doing here. I mean, just think about it. The movie that set Kang up is a generic Ant-Man movie. That is a permanent stain on the MCU's new big villain that will never leave him. The next Thanos, huh? Thanos made his first true debut in Avengers Infinity War. Kang made his in Ant-Man. Number 2. The multiple Kangs in the mid-credit scene. This was so ridiculous to me. You can't properly build up and develop a villain if he gets swapped out and is different every time we see him. That's honestly what made Thanos less interesting in Endgame, when we got the past Thanos who did not go through the development and sacrifices that made Infinity War Thanos such a great and sympathetic character. That's what we seem to be getting with Kang now, but en masse. Now, those that are excited about this are looking at the potential future for Kang. Meanwhile, I was just here thinking, Well, this scene essentially undercuts the Kang that we just saw in this movie, because this was supposed to be Kang the Conqueror, the strongest version of Kang who had killed many Avengers including Thor in different multiverses. And in spite of that, the people that managed to defeat him was Antman with a last minute assist from the Wasp. Are you kidding me? The strongest Kang in the multiverse and a couple of D-list Avengers defeat him. That's as ridiculous as having Antman and the Wasp take down Thanos all on their own. And if those two can defeat the most powerful Kang, then how the hell do you expect him to stand up to the other A or even B-list Avengers? What, are we going to have loads of Kangs fight the Avengers in the Kang Dynasty? Well, that sucks because A, they're not possibly going to be able to develop all of these Kangs with their honestly laughable and slightly offensive stereotypes, and B, it just sounds like they swapped Thanos and his children out for a goofier CGI army. This future does not sound promising to me, especially if the battle with them is going to be anything like the underwhelming battle with Kang in this movie. And honestly, if this is the most powerful Kang and he got defeated by Ant-Man, then how weak are all the other Kangs? And should we even fear them? And to tease that there are so many Kangs just doesn't feel thought out, and makes Kang feel like an interchangeable character that we can never get attached to, because they can kill him off and immediately swap him out with another. And before anyone says it, I don't care if this Kang potentially comes back in the future, because he has made a complete embarrassment of himself in this movie, and I don't know how anyone can take him seriously anymore. So the multiple Kangs concept has not won me over. Rather, it has opened the door to more potential problems rather than an exciting path forward. And finally, number 1. What did Kang do? Really think about this. What did Kang do in this movie? Because we all know what Thanos did. Thanos came in, invaded the Asgardian ship, killed a big number of them, destroyed the Tesseract and added the stone within it to his collection, easily beat the shit out of the Hulk, killed Heimdall, slowly broke Loki's neck, made a permanent enemy of Thor, and then destroyed the ship, leaving him for dead as he moves on to the Guardians of the Galaxy and the rest of the Avengers who oppose his goals. Wow, what a way to introduce your big villain. And that's just the opening of the movie. We haven't even seen the movie's titles yet. So, what does Kang do with his first true appearance? He lifts up Scott and Cassie with his force powers, tries to squeeze them with their suits, and that's all he does. He also couldn't fix his ship, so Michelle Pfeiffer's character does it for him and then sabotages it, and he fails to stop her. That's another thing he does. We are also told in a flashback that he has killed many nameless people, and that's about the end of his introduction scenes. Yep, the next Thanos, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, what is this? They put Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, a movie worthy of his menace and threat to all the Avengers. And meanwhile, Kang, who is supposed to be stronger than Thanos, is put in an Ant-Man movie and gets his ass kicked by the Ant-Man family. I honestly felt that putting Kang in this movie just made him look weak. Actions speak louder than words, and the movie can tell us how dangerous he is all at once. Heck, even Kang can tell us all he wants, which he sure does love doing, but at the end of the day, he's still got his ass handed to him by Ant-Man, a lower level Avenger. I honestly think that Kang is a poor man's Thanos. The Russo brothers brought so much to Thanos as a character, and made him so understandable and sympathetic that you felt for him in the movie despite his evil actions. But with Kang, I just couldn't care less. I didn't care if he got his goal, and I didn't even care if the hero stopped him. And not to mention, when Scott Lang first sees him, he cracks a generic MCU joke.
You're not the one with the hammer.
That's Thor. We get confused a lot. Similar body types. Who are you?
This sounds like the exact same joke that Star-Lord would make.
You know Thor?
Yeah. Tall guy, not that good looking.
I mean, these characters' jokes are even sounding the same now.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
Now this is actually a really good line, and it makes perfect sense. I am a less powerful Avenger, I cannot defeat you, so the only way I can is if we both lose. A noble sacrifice. That is fantastic writing. But it doesn't amount to anything because Ant-Man does win in the end, and of course, you gotta end on a joke where Scott eats a bit of lousy cake. Cut to credits. This movie really didn't have anything big for Kang to do. This is yet another addition to the MCU where the movie is only here to set up the next movie. It doesn't have any purpose beyond that. Kang also felt underused and didn't even put up a good fight. That ability where he's able to control and torture people with a single flick of his finger is not utilized in the final action sequence. The time ability he constantly goes on about is not even shown, and his energy blasts, which kill other people instantly, only lightly pushes our main characters away and gives them no no injuries. So I have no doubt that Kang could be super powerful, but they don't effectively illustrate that in this movie or take advantage of his skill set. If he was as powerful as the movie claims, then he would have been able to defeat all the good guys in this movie very easily. But no, they defeat him with relatively moderate effort. And that really does dilute his threat level as the overarching villain for the next phase. He gets defeated like a generic villain when the movie really should have lived up to what the trailer teased us.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
And apparently that did happen in the original ending, but Marvel came in and changed it at the last second to something that was super safe and comedic. I guess those reshoot rumors to lighten up the movie were true. So all these reasons and more is why I think Kang is such a terrible villain. Jonathan Majors is the only saving grace for this character and the only reason why Kang is being praised at all, but the storytelling is not equal to his performance. And the Council of Kangs look like cosplay and you can't look at them without laughing. And MODOK, think of George Lopez from Shark Boy and Lava Girl mixed with Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine and you get this movie's MODOK. He will go down as one of the worst comic book to movie adaptations you will ever see. And also, the best scene of the movie is the final hand-to-hand battle between Antman and Kang, and it felt like a less violent and cheap ripoff of the first Spider-Man's final action scene with the Green Goblin. And when you take into account that the writer for Ant-Man 3 is writing the Kang Dynasty, and the writer for Multiverse of Madness is writing Avengers Secret Wars, we are in for a very rough ride. And I'll just say what no one else has been saying, but is very obvious. We need the Russo brothers back. Thanks to everyone for watching, and a huge thanks to my patrons. You guys really are helping me out in a big way, and I really appreciate your constant donations. Soon I'll be doing coverage of Hogwarts Legacy on Steam Deck exclusively for patrons. And we are so close to reaching a Patreon milestone. We have currently reached 43 patrons, and we just need 7 more to get to 50. And remember, as soon as we reach 100, I will start making the How to Train Your Dragon Trilogy Versus video, and patrons from any tier will get access to the video early before it comes to YouTube. Also, I have finally completed the purchase and setup of my new computer, hence the videos have been coming out a bit slower over the last couple of weeks, but everything is in order now and we can go back to more regular content. Thanks always for watching everyone, it really does mean a lot to me, and I will see all of you very soon. Take care.